What's going on, guys? Ted from Nerd Immersion here, and I'm back, sorry for the delay yet again, with a Unearthed Arcana to Xanathar's Guide to Everything comparison video. I've got basically 6 classes left, and I'm going to do my best to record these all in one sitting, one after another, to get all of these videos out of the way, before I roll into some other videos that we had talked about, like, doing the downtime revisited and getting through the remainder of the Xanathar's Guide content, as I do want to get this out as early as possible. Plus, it's fun D&D daily content for you guys to check out. So, that aside, we're going to talk about Sorcerers today. We've done everything through Rogue. So, first up, we have the Divine Soul Sorcerer. Full stop. This is the class that has received the most alterations. This is the 4th iteration of this. It appeared as the favored soul, I believe, in the original altering a subclass thing that had the spellless ranger way back in the day. One of the first, I think maybe the second or third Unearthed Arcana ever released for 5th edition. And that it was very reminiscent sort of the original favored soul from 3.5, which was a spontaneous casting cleric. So it had armor proficiencies and things like that. They did away with that. They made the favored soul in the Unearthed Arcana Sorcerer alongside the Phoenix and the Sea Sorcerer and all of those. And then they scrapped that version of it to come up with the version that arrived in revised subclasses. I have done videos, I think, on all of those in the past. They're scattered around, but the most recent one from revised subclasses, there will be a link in the description if you want to see my review of it then. But let us continue on. So Divine Soul, what do you get now at first level? You get Divine Magic. So basically, they're saying you get this. They changed it from Favored Soul to Divine Soul so that you're not specifically kind of like a good cleric, because it was very heavily based on the original class, which was a celestial, almost good class. It was interesting that they went with Sorcerer. I feel like it could have... I really don't know what it would have been, to be completely honest with you. I guess Sorcerer was probably the best fit, as it is the spontaneous caster, and they kind of did something similar with the Warlock anyway. So, you basically can learn cleric spells. So, whenever you learn a Sorcerer cantrip or a Sorcerer spell, first level or higher, you can learn a new spell from the cleric spell list or the Sorcerer spell list. You must otherwise obey the restrictions, blah, blah, blah. The only problem with that is now you have access to the Sorcerer spell list and the Cleric spell list, but you still only ever get 15 spells known as a Sorcerer. So you get, and again, another thing that really bothers me is you as the Sorcerer, I would argue you're a more arcane caster than a Bard, but whatever. Bards learn 22 spells, you learn 15. Again, reminder that Rangers, who are half-casters, learn 11. You as a Sorcerer only learn 4 more spells at level 20 than a 20th level Ranger, who only has half-casting. It's whatever, but, you know, and I mean a Paladin, not to get off track, but a Paladin with a 20 Charisma at level 20 knows as many spells as you do. I feel like there's a little bit of an imbalance there, but it is what it is. So, you now have 2 full spell lists to choose your 15 spells from. However, they do give you a little bit of a boon in that, in addition, you choose your affinity to your source of power, good, evil, law, chaos, or neutrality, and in doing so learns you an additional spell, just one, but you have it, it's always learned, and it doesn't count against your sorcerer spells known. So if you're good, it's Cure Wounds, if it's evil, it's Inflict Wounds, if it's law, it's Bless, if it's chaos, it's Bane, and if it's neutrality, it's Protection from good and evil. So this is the affinity for your source of power. Again, you're Sorcerer, so your power comes from your bloodline. So did you kind of come from a divine being of good, evil, law, chaos, or neutrality? In addition, you are favored by the gods. You know what? Let's start with Divine Magic. Let me start there. So in the Unearthed Arcana version, all of that was the same, except you just learned Cure Wounds. So basically, this whole piece of Cleric or Sorcerer spell, that's the same. And in the Unearthed Arcana revised subclasses, when it was still Favored Soul, you just learned Cure Wounds. Now, rather than Cure Wounds, it's based on your divine affinity. So it could be Cure Wounds if you're good, it could be one of these other ones. This is nice. It gives you a little bit of choice between what you choose. And again, just because this is what your sorcerer's affinity is, does not mean that your character has to be good, evil, lawful, chaotic, or neutral. This is just where your background comes from. So you could choose something because let's say you really want bless. You could choose law as your divine affinity, where your bloodline heritage of your sorcerer magic comes from, but you could still be a neutral or chaotic character, just to put that out there. So that is the difference. You get a little bit of leeway. It's not just cure wounds. Favored by the gods, first level ability. If you fail or miss with an attack, fail a saving throw or miss an attack roll, you can roll 2d4 and add it to the total, possibly changing the outcome. Once you use this feature, you can't use it until you take a short or a long rest. Favored by the gods is exactly the same. A saving throw or attack roll, yeah. This is a great ability because the key word here is if you fail a saving throw or miss with an attack roll. So it's not one of those abilities where if you use it, it has to be before the DM tells you whether you hit or miss. This is on a fail. You have failed the saving throw. You know you failed. You know something bad's going to happen to you. You missed the attack roll. This obviously doesn't help you with a natural 1 on an attack roll because that is an automatic miss regardless. But if you rolled, let's say, a 15 on your attack roll, and you're like, I don't know what this thing's thinking, but let me use Favor of the Gods, add 2d4. You roll an 8, you roll 2 4s on those 2d4, that turns that 15 into a 23. Chances are you're going to hit. Same thing with saving throws. So this is a huge ability. It is only once per short or long rest, but hey, it's not something that you're always going to use, but you have it in your back pocket for when you need it. And I like that. Things that work on failures are very big. Like a fighter's Indomitable works when you fail a saving throw. So you can never waste it, technically, right? I mean, you could waste it if it doesn't end up working. But either way. So level 6, you have Empowered Healing. Whenever you or an ally within 5 feet of you rolls dice to determine the number of hit points a spell restores, you can spend a sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice once, provided you aren't incapacitated. You can only use this feature once per turn. Empowered Healing was Empowered Healing. Whenever you roll dice to determine the number of hit points a sorcerer spell of yours restores, you can spend 1 sorcery point to reroll any number of those dice once. The only difference between these I can see is they added provided you aren't incapacitated, which I guess makes sense, and you can use this feature only once per turn. Not that that would come up too often. Actually, I guess it could theoretically. No, not really. I was going to say if you used Quicken spell with a bonus action heal, but that's not really a thing you can do. I hate this ability. I think it's stupid. I think it's really dumb. I get it. It's Empowered Healing. It's supposed to be like, I think the Empower metamagic is sort of the whole point of this, right? Where Empowered Spell, I believe, is you spend a sorcery point and you can reroll any of the damage dice that you want. You can pick and choose which ones you reroll, which is nice. You don't have to reroll all of them. But you could roll, like let's say you rolled all 2s, right? You could reroll all of those 2s as 1s, and then you're stuck with lesser healing, which sucks. So I think, I think they could do maybe that you get to pick which one. I mean, this is your 6th level ability, so I feel like the thoughts are that you're healing, divine energy coursing through you can empower your healing spells. I don't know how choosing which ones you want to reroll empowers them, because you can empower your healing and heal for less. So that's sort of my issue, you know, right? Like, I get it. If you roll 6 8s on a very high level Cure Wounds and 1 yeah, you keep the 6 8s and you reroll the 1 because you can't roll less than that. But if that was a bunch of 4s and you roll all 2s, you just cut your healing in half as you empowered it. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I just really don't like this ability. Personally, you know, and I can't tell you what I would do to make it better because I can't really think of anything. Well, I guess I can. One is you can choose, right? Reroll, keep the dice you want, and then reroll which ones. You choose which ones you want to reroll and choose what you keep. Or the other option is spend a sorcery point and you have to reroll all of them, but you can choose which total you want. I think that's probably a little bit better. Again, it doesn't really fit the empower spell metamagic idea, but let's say you do roll those 78, and the first time you roll 20, and the second time you roll 25. Well, then you get to keep the 25. You spent a sorcery point, you used one of your resources, and you get 5 extra points of healing. I think that is an option you could do. Or just lose the sorcery point ability completely and give you what the clerics have, the life clerics have, where your healing spells heal for extra, right? You do an extra 2 plus the spell's level worth of healing. I don't think that that's super overpowered, and it's a useful ability. And I mean, the thought process here is that you're being a healing, and again, that's another thing, if you think about it that way, right? You don't have to be a healing divine soul, right? You could take evil and get inflict wounds, and you could take only damaging cleric spells and no healing spells. I mean, probably you'll take healing spells, right? I mean, I think that that's probably the thought, right? Is that you're going to get some healing. But you could take only damaging cleric spells, and then this whole 6th level ability does nothing for you. I mean, I get it. If you look ahead and see that this is coming at 6th level, you'll probably choose a healing spell, which sort of made more sense with this version when you got Cure Wounds, because you didn't have a choice. You had at least one healing spell, but at that point, that was basically only a guarantee for Cure Wounds. So it is kind of an interesting thing that your 6th level ability could be completely useless to you if you choose. I mean, you'd have to make those conscious choices, but I don't know. I just don't like this ability. I think it's kind of weak. I think there's things that you could do to make it better. At 14, you get Otherworldly Wings. As a bonus action, you manifest a pair of spectral wings from your back. You get a 30-foot fly speed as long as you aren't incapacitated. Or they last until you're incapacitated, you die, or you dismiss them as a bonus action. They are Eagle Wings if it's good or lawful, Bat Wings for evil or chaos, or Dragonfly Wings if you are neutral. This was back then it was angelic form. Your divine essence causes you to undergo a minor physical transformation. Your appearance takes an otherworldly version of yourself, and you become either beautiful, youthful, kind, or imposing. And then in addition, as a bonus action, you manifest a pair of spectral wings from your back that last until you're incapacitated or you dismiss them. While the wings are present, you have a fly speed of 30 feet. So it's interesting that they got rid of the whole roleplay, physical, cosmetic thing of becoming super beautiful or imposing. In previous versions of it, that came at level 6 and granted you expertise, basically, in charisma checks. So they nixed that entirely. Now, in one of the iterations of this, you didn't get wings at all. And then a lot of people complained because that was sort of a favored soul's whole deal, was that level 18 you got, like in the old edition, at 18 you got wings. It is also interesting to me that you get wings 4 levels before a Dragon Blood Sorcerer gets wings. Something else to throw out there. And lastly, Unearthly Recovery. As a bonus action, when you have fewer than half of your HP remaining, you regain a number of hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. And I believe that is exactly the same. It is. And that's a huge ability. It's a capstone ability, right? It feels like a powerful ability. You're level 18. You've stuck it out for Sorcerer for 18 levels. Good on you for doing that. And you get a powerful ability, right? I mean, for the Dragon Blood Sorcerers, it was wings. For you, it's just a big-ass heal for yourself. That's awesome. I like this ability a lot. The fact that it's once per long rest makes sense. It's super powerful. This could turn the tide of a battle. As a bonus action, remind you, a bonus action, you just heal a huge chunk of your HP at this point. That's huge. Like I said, that could be the difference between you making it out of a battle, or if you have healing abilities, being able to heal your allies. I really like this ability. And again, I think one of the big benefits too of a Divine Soul Sorcerer is you have healing, but you also have potential access to the twin spell metamagic, which is big, right? That is part of it. Like, let's say you do have Cure Wounds. You can cast Cure Wounds once, and for a sorcery point, heal 2 people. Which does go a little bit of the fact that you do only have 15 spells total, you can make use our spells known. You can choose spells that benefit from your metamagic. Like I said, you could cast Lesser Restoration, cure 2 people of disease. Cure Wounds, heal 2 people. Heal, for instance, the 6th level spell that heals, I think it's 70 HP to a single creature, now is a twinned heal spell that does healing for 2 people. So there's a lot of cool things you can do using your metamagic abilities mixed with your sorcerer abilities. Your sorcerer abilities mixed with your cleric healing spells. Everybody knows my favorite spell is Spirit Guardians. Extend spell Spirit Guardians makes it last for 20 minutes. Distance spell Spirit Guardians makes the range 30 feet. That's a big spell. 30-foot radius of difficult terrain, and starting their turn there takes damage. That's pretty big. So I like this class overall. I do feel like the level 6 ability is a little bit weak, but I'm curious what you guys think. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are about the Divine Soul Sorcerer. Are you playing it? Are you choosing to... are you playing the Xanathar's version, or have you perhaps gone back to playing an older version? What do you think? And if you're an older player who remembers the favored soul of years gone by, how do you think this stacks up? Do you think they should revert it, or you should do a homebrew or something of the more original one that got you proficiency with weapons and armor, or do you like it as it is? I'm curious. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I will see you next time for the Shadow Magic Sorcerer.